9 out of 10 startups fail. That's not opinion. That's not myth. That's the data. Cold statistical truth. But what if I told you that second-time founders, people who've already failed once, are more than twice as likely to succeed? Why? Why does failing once make someone more dangerous the second time? Because something happens in failure. Quietly, invisibly, something that doesn't make headlines. While the world watches you fall, something else is taking root. Failure strips away illusion. It doesn't whisper, it doesn't warn, it just takes. And when it's done, all that's left is the real version of you. The one that's no longer afraid. The one that knows what it means to bleed for something and stand back up. This is not about falling down. This is about what you find at the bottom, when no one is clapping, when no one's watching. And that is where everything begins. This is the story of how failure fuels the people we end up calling unstoppable. Pause for a moment. Really think, have you ever failed at something? Something that at the time felt like the end? But somehow later, it became the very thing that shaped who you are now. Share it. Right now. Drop your story in the comments, not for likes, not for applause, but because someone out there might need it more than you know. And when you're finished watching, there's more waiting. Another chapter in the journey, the power of bouncing back. The link is below. Failure isn't where your story ends. It's where the real story begins. This episode isn't about avoiding failure, it's about welcoming it. Walking straight into the fire and learning how to build something inside the ashes. Because the truth is, those moments when you fall apart, they might just be the foundation of who you're meant to become. You have a dream. A vision that keeps you awake at night. But then, that voice creeps in. What if I fail? What if everything falls apart? So you wait, you plan, and then slowly, you stop. This fear, this invisible chain, holds millions back every day. Studies show nearly 70% of people avoid pursuing their passions because of fear of failure. Psychologists call it failure avoidance, a trap that rewires your brain to choose safety over growth. But in trying to protect ourselves, we build walls so high they block the very path to what we want. But what if we chose differently? What if fear became a signal, not a stop sign? Some of the greatest names you know were once told they wouldn't make it. Walt Disney was fired from a newspaper for lack of creativity. A man who would go on to create a world of magic was, at one point, seen as a failure. J.K. Rowling's manuscript for Harry Potter was rejected 12 times. Each no could have been the end, but instead, it was just the beginning. Steve Jobs was famously fired from Apple, the very company he helped create, but that setback fueled him to build even greater things. What made the difference? Not talent alone, not luck, but the courage to rise after the fall. Each of these icons faced failure head-on and transformed it into their greatest strength. Meet Jordan, a young entrepreneur who chased his dream with everything he had. His first business, his passion project, was everything he'd worked for, until one day it wasn't. The website went offline, customers stopped calling, bills piled up, the rejection letters flooded in. Jordan lost almost everything, the savings, the confidence, even the will to keep going. But this wasn't the end, it was the turning point. A mentor saw potential where others saw failure. Together, they rebuilt a plan, this time stronger, smarter, and relentless. That second attempt wasn't just a comeback, it became a 7-figure company. Today, Jordan doesn't just run a business, he guides others through their own failures, proving that sometimes the hardest crash builds the strongest foundation. Jordan's story shows us that failure isn't the end, it's the soil where growth begins. What if failure isn't just an obstacle, but a vital process your brain uses to grow stronger? Science reveals that our brains are incredibly adaptable, a concept called neuroplasticity. When you fail, your brain doesn't shut down, it rewires itself. Each setback triggers resilience development, teaching your mind how to handle stress, analyze mistakes, and develop smarter strategies. And here's the fascinating part. Failure activates dopamine pathways, the same system that rewards success. Your brain learns to find motivation and satisfaction, not just from wins, but from the process of learning itself. Failing forward, embracing mistakes as part of learning, accelerates skill development and creativity. It's how top performers in every field build lasting success. Studies show students taught to fail forward, to see failure as a feedback loop rather than a dead end, improve their learning speed by up to 30%. The key is shifting your mindset. Failure isn't a mark of defeat, it's a signal that your brain is adapting, growing, evolving. So the next time you stumble, remember, your brain is working behind the scenes, turning that failure into fuel for your growth. Failure isn't one size fits all. It comes in different forms, and understanding these can change how you respond and grow. Ignorance failure happens when you don't yet have the experience or knowledge. It's that first stumble, the trial and error phase everyone must pass through. Take Lisa, who launched her first online store with no background in marketing or product design. She lost thousands and felt defeated. But through that ignorance failure, Lisa learned the basics of customer needs and effective marketing. That failure was a classroom, harsh but invaluable. When you're new, expect to fail. Embrace it as the fastest way to learn what works and what doesn't. Some failures are beyond your control. External factors, timing, or unforeseen circumstances. Mark had a thriving cafe when a sudden economic downturn forced him to close. His failure wasn't from lack of effort, but forces outside his hands. Yet Mark used this inevitable failure to pivot. He started an online delivery service that thrived post-pandemic. Recognize what you can't control. When faced with inevitable failure, adapt, pivot, and look for new opportunities. Then there's intentional failure. When you take smart risks and experiment, knowing some attempts won't succeed. Consider Sarah, a tech entrepreneur who launched 5 different apps before one became a hit. Each failed app was a deliberate step in testing what users wanted. Her willingness to fail on purpose accelerated her success. Don't fear strategic risks. Intentional failure is the fastest path to innovation and breakthroughs. So whether you're learning, facing the unexpected, or testing new ideas, every failure has a purpose. Recognize which type you're facing and use it as fuel to keep moving forward. Elena was one of the most promising track runners in her region. Fast, focused, unstoppable. But then at the national championships, everything changed. A sharp injury, a torn Achilles, forced her to stop mid-race. The dream she'd chased since childhood seemed to shatter in an instant. For weeks, Elena wrestled with doubt. The thought of quitting crept in. Maybe this is the end, she whispered. But then came a voice, her coach. He said, Elena, losing isn't the end. Losing made you hungry. It's what will drive you to come back stronger. That mindset shift became her turning point. 2 years of grueling rehab followed. Early mornings, endless physical therapy, mental battles. Day 1, I'm scared. What if I never run again? Day 150, small progress, I'm still here. Day 700, today I ran faster than I thought possible. And then the moment arrived, the national championships, 2 years later. With every muscle screaming, Elena pushed through pain and doubt and crossed the finish line, breaking the national record. Her story reminds us, failure and pain don't define us. It's what we do after that shapes who we become. Here's the truth many of us overlook. Failure is not who you are. Your failures do not define your identity. They are simply moments, experiences along the path of growth. Every step represents a failure, but it's also a step forward, a chance to rise. You are not your mistakes. You are your persistence. You are the strength to stand back up, to learn, to grow, to keep moving forward, no matter what. There's a simple way to remember this mindset, an acronym that turns failure on its head. FAIL, first attempt in learning. Every failure is the very first step in mastering something new. It's proof you're trying, that you're learning. Reframe how you see setbacks. They're not stops, they're starting points. Changing your mindset is just the beginning. Real growth happens when you build a system to process failure, one that turns setbacks into stepping stones. Step 1, pause, reflect. Before rushing to fix or ignore failure, stop. Give yourself space to understand what happened, what emotions surfaced, what went well and what didn't. Step 2, analyze. Look for patterns. Identify recurring challenges. Are there mistakes you keep making? External factors you overlooked? This step reveals the root causes behind failure. Step 3, adjust. Change behavior. Now it's time to adapt. Use what you've learned to improve your approach, whether that means refining skills, shifting strategy, or changing your mindset. Step 4, act again. Retry without shame. The final and most important step, take action again. Failure isn't shameful, it's proof you're moving forward. Each attempt brings you closer to success. Take Maya, a startup founder who launched 4 apps that failed to gain traction. Each time she paused, analyzed her mistakes, adjusted her strategy, and tried again. On her 5th app, those lessons paid off. Her product finally connected with users, becoming a hit and a profitable business. This 4-step system isn't just for entrepreneurs. It's a framework anyone can use to transform failure into growth, no matter the challenge. Now, let's hear from real people, everyday heroes who faced failure head-on and came out stronger. I started my own bakery after years of working odd jobs. The first few months, total failure. No customers, empty shelves, I almost gave up. But I learned to listen to my customers, adjust my recipes, and keep pushing. Today, my bakery is thriving, and my kids see what it means to never quit. I burned out in my first major, totally lost. Changing direction felt like admitting defeat. But changing my major was the best decision I ever made. Failure helped me find what really excites me. When my band broke up, I felt like my dreams were crushed, but going solo gave me freedom I never had before. Failure wasn't the end, it was the start of a new journey. Every failure has a story. What's yours? Remember, your greatest growth often begins in the moments you think you've lost. I want to share something personal. A moment when everything I dreamed of felt like it crashed down in front of me. I poured my heart into a project, a dream I believed could change everything. But when it launched, it failed publicly. The shame hit hard. Self-doubt whispered, maybe you're not good enough. But in that darkest moment, I realized something important. Failure isn't a full stop, it's a call to rebuild. I learned humility, to ask for help, to listen. I learned consistency, showing up day after day, no matter what. And I built better systems, smarter ways to create and connect. The grind was real. The small wins mattered more than I imagined. And through that journey, growth wasn't just about success, it was about becoming. If you're watching and struggling right now, remember your story isn't over. Your failure today can build the foundation for your greatest chapter yet. Now it's your turn. Pause the video for a moment and write down, what's a failure you're grateful for? Take 10 seconds to reflect. No rush. This moment is for you. See, we all have stories of failure, but when we share and learn from them, failure becomes a bridge, not a barrier. You're not alone. This community is built on embracing failure together, lifting each other up and growing stronger every day. Let's break down some of the biggest myths about success, the stories we tell ourselves that hold us back. Oprah Winfrey was fired from her first TV job. Fired, not exactly the smooth start most imagine. Thomas Edison failed over 1,000 times before inventing the light bulb. He said, "I didn't fail, I just found 1,000 ways that won't work." Michael Jordan was cut from his high school varsity basketball team, not once, but twice, yet he became arguably the greatest player ever. Success isn't a straight line, it's a series of setbacks, lessons, and relentless comebacks. Remember, every failure is just a step closer to your breakthrough. Let's take a moment to transform how you see your failures. Find a comfortable seat, take a deep breath, and close your eyes if you can. Now imagine your biggest failure. See it clearly, without judgment. Now imagine going back, not to erase what happened, but to step into that moment with new understanding. See yourself learning from that failure, how it shaped your strength, your resilience, your wisdom. Visualize your future self, empowered and thriving because of that very moment. Now, breathe in slowly. 1, 2, 3, hold. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3. Repeat 3 times. Repeat silently or aloud, I am not broken, I am being built. Every setback is a setup for my comeback. Failure is my teacher, not my enemy. When you're ready, open your eyes, carry this mindset with you, and step forward with courage. Now that you've reshaped how you see failure, let's turn that mindset into action. Here are 3 powerful tools you can start using today. Write down what happened, how you felt, and most importantly, what you learned. Ask yourself, what's one small change I can make next time? List your failures alongside the skills and lessons each taught you. Over time, this becomes a badge of honor, showing your growth journey. Find or create a community where you can share challenges openly, receive support, and keep pushing forward. Remember, success is built on a foundation of well-processed failures. The more you learn from each fall, the stronger you become. Meet Alex. For 10 years, Alex was just another face in the crowd, a writer rejected by every publisher, sending manuscripts into the void. Or imagine Maya, an artist who sold just one painting in 5 long years. No fame, no applause, just endless doors closing, but they never stopped. Then one day, the unexpected. A viral post, a champion, a breakthrough moment that changed everything. What you see is only the last 10 minutes of a 10-year story. Remember, behind every success, there's a decade of courage, resilience, and refusal to quit. Your story is just beginning. Keep going. Your breakthrough is closer than you think. Remember, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the training ground for it, the place where your strength is forged. If this story moved you, like the video, share your own journey in the comments, and subscribe for more stories that fuel your growth. Fall 7 times, rise 8.